Got you. There we are. Let's just get. See, we got a live viewer. We'll go for it. Let me just see if I can get that. And live. There we go. Turn the volume down. Well, there you are. We got somebody. Good morning, Ben. It's Saturday morning live with Johnny Boy. And first viewer on this morning is Ben Allotment Garden. How you doing, Ben? Good to see you. We've got a packed topics this morning. I'm just going to write some of them down. Bear with me this morning. Just to let you know what Saturday morning live is about you, the contractor and the consumer. Like, if you've got any complaints, if you've got any opinions, if you've got any advice, if there's anything you just want to get off your chest, this is the time to voice your opinion. Just let you know, I haven't shaved this morning. I'm in between beards. Yeah, I haven't shaved, but I'm in between beards. Richard Dow, Gareth Williams, Restore the Saw. How's it going, bud? Good to see you. Welcome to Saturday Morning Live. I'm just going to write a few things. There's a few things we're going to be talking about this morning, and it's got to be mentioned. Okay, it's got to be mentioned because it affects us on a day-to-day basis. And we got to maybe just mention a little bit about the woke community. Not just the woke community, but also about Dominic Raab. That's what we've got to talk about. You know, how you speak to people in the workplace. That's what I want to know about. I want to know about you. I want your opinion. Steve, good morning. Seen your comment on the South Lebanon system. Mario Rizzi, good morning. Yeah, we've got to mention about Dominic Raab a little bit. Not that we're going to get political, because that's not what this is about. But the point about it is about the... in the workplace, how you talk to people in the workplace, how you talk to people in general, and where it's going, etc. The other thing, of course, is price rises, and we've got to get back to this again. Price rises in the economy, though inflation is actually. Just going to write it down now. We'll get back to this. I'm going to write this down, just little notes. Inflation, because inflation is actually. Is it come down a little bit, didn't it? It did come down. Catch you later. We'll comment on Facebook. No problem at all, mate. Cheers. Yeah, I think people are too sensitive these days. Yeah, absolutely, Steve. And you know, from the days in the military, etc., what it was like then. Also, the other thing we're going to talk about is regulation. And you'll say regulation in what respect? Is that does the industry, we talk about these things, and we'll continue to talk about these things on a regular basis. Regulation, does the industry needs a bit more regulatory sort of rules about who can landscape, who can build, etc. Because if you was in Australia, I'm going to mention about Australia. In Australia, you have to be licensed. You have to be a licensed, approved, licensed contractor. You've got to do this thing at TAFE in Sydney. It's a college. I think it's all over. And if you know a little bit more about it and you've got an opinion on that, just let us know. So we've got three major topics there. And also, if he's watching this morning, Nicholas McCartney there down in Banbury in Oxford. Just want to wish you all the best, mate. Hope your recovery is to plan now. And if you want to talk about anything, just let us know, because I'd be more than happy to talk to you, Nicholas McCartney. The other thing, of course, is that I've got to thank you guys for every week joining the live stream as you do, as regular as clockwork. It speaks volumes for you, doesn't it? You know, you're joining these live streams on a regular basis because you want to hear what other people have to say. It's not just about what you have to say. You all end up talking to each other. Oh, there he is, Ian Power. Good morning. How's it going, bud? Good to see you. I was actually talking, I was giving you a recommendation this week, Ian, to my customer. I said if anybody would want to choose a contractor who's a nice, decent person, because I was talking about decency, isn't it? That's what it's about, I suppose. The word that's come out of it for me this week is decency. Talking to people with decency, behaving in a decent way, giving people a decent price, people treating you in a decent way. So decency, and your name come up several times, Ian Power. Steve says the problem is with regulations. Every other year they charge. Yeah, absolutely. But you know, Steve, is it worth that? I've heard some really, really bad stories from consumers, and I hear this on a regular basis where people just go in, and I've only had, I'll tell you a little story about a customer this week had some work done, not this week, a little while ago, and it's really bad. I mean, massively bad. The work is bad. Attitude was bad. Everything was bad about it. Even to the joints, when we talk about the work, the joints in porcelain, they were 30mm thick. Wide joints, 30mm thick. Ian Power, what do you actually think of the old Silver Fox now? Look at this. I'm looking rather handsome, am I? It has to be said, I do get messages on a regular basis, fan mail, telling me that I am a Silver Fox and I am handsome. I'm a good-looking guy, but they also tell me that I'm going bald on top. I've been going bald on top from day one when I was born. Ian Powers says, groundwork finally got 3 big projects over the line this week, so I can breathe again. Good to hear. And I'm sure they are good projects. If you want to check out Ian Power, Ian may share his link to his website on there this morning. Making a decent profit, says Restore the Sort. Listen, bud, look, I've got notes here. And I can't find, because I haven't got my glasses on, Restore the Sort. I had your name down on here somewhere, but you have to tell me what your name is again, because I just want to call you Restore the Sort. But yeah, he says making a good profit. Let's get the name Restore the Sort on here now. I write it in every week. It's from few notes of people that join, and I just try to remember their name out of common courtesy. Well, look, if by magic again there's Nicholas McCartney Moore, thanks, John, for your best wishes. No, always thinking you, Nick. I'd love to have worked with you. Pete, Restore the Sword. Pete, I do apologise. There's so many people that call me on a regular basis. Steve says, Silver Fox, John, you're like a bald badger. That's it. There we go. Not in front though. Come on, Steve. Give it a bit of credit. Just to let you know, I've got the Greentop Landscapes top on this morning for you. I may have not shaved. Alison's not impressed with me this morning, not shaving, but there you go. Don't forget mine if you want to call in this morning. The number is, I'll get it up on screen, is, let me get it down there now. I love this morning. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Debbie McGee's bought me a cup of tea. Look, absolutely fantastic. It's all going good. It's all going good. Let's get the number if you want to call this one. It's 077 9566 4002. There we are. There's the number. If you want to call in this morning, if you're a consumer or even if you're a contractor, I want to hear from you. It's 077 9566 4002. We're here. We're waiting. We want to hear from you. It was such a sad story, wasn't it, the other week, Gaynor, with a porcelain that wasn't up to scratch. And if you're watching this morning, love to know how you get on, and more than happy to come and have a look. As I said, it just seemed to have disappeared now. It'd be good to speak again. Yeah, there we are. There's the number, 07795664002 if you want to call in this morning. A couple of things which I spoke about this morning, topics of conversation, talking to people in the workplace. And the other thing as well, it's not about talking to your colleagues and the people that you work for you, okay, with your consumer. How many of you, the contractors in the landscaping world, in the contracting world, talk to their consumer in the right manner, okay, and behave in a manner that is respectable, because it's all about decency, isn't it? It's all about that decency, that point, and how you speak to your customer. You need to be firm, you need to be honest, and you need to be straight talking. But there's ways of doing it and allowing people to talk, allowing customers to have their say, because what you've got to try and remember is that they don't necessarily understand what's going on. Though they've had a fully itemized written quote, they don't necessarily understand the methods that you're doing, the methods you're taking out in the garden, okay? And it's so important to sort of just understand that. They ain't going to understand that. Though you've given them a quote, you still need to explain time and time again and talk them through the process in a decent manner. Keep you patient. Be patient with them. There's no doubt over the years, okay, years gone by, okay, nearly 40 years for me in this game, probably is 40 years. Yeah, actually, yeah, when I started out as an apprentice chippy, 16, it's over 40 years. That's sad, isn't it? I keep thinking all the time that it's like up to 40 years, but it's not. It's over 40 years. I was an apprentice carpenter at 16 years of age, so I've been in this game a long time. We've got a lot to learn. It took me years to build my patience up to be able to, because I always gave it back to him with the customer. If they weren't being fair, I just told them straight, and it wasn't the best thing to do. Steve Burrows joined us. Good morning, Steve. How you going? Good to see you. I'm in John, in work, doing a thank your job for a mate. I work doing a thank you job for a mate. A thank you job, sorry, Ben. For a mate, I did build him a bar a couple of months ago, so hopefully he paid in alcohol. Good to see you. Steve, good to see you and your boy this week, and bump into your local contractor, Steve Burrows, cracking guy. And I've got a little present for you, Steve, and I'm going to bring it to you hopefully on Monday. I'll be there Monday morning. Gareth Williams says, the point of customers getting 3 to 4 quotes is so they can get an understanding of what professionals are out there and choosing the right one for the project. But they just want the cheapest. Yeah, they do. If you're a consumer this morning, what Gareth Williams has said there from Manchester, and if you are in Manchester, if you're watching this a little bit later, not on the live feed, what you probably need to do, if you're looking for a landscaper, there he is there, Gareth Williams. Gareth, I'd love you to get your link, some information about you as a business up on here this morning, because there's no doubt you are a decent person and a decent contractor, more than a capable contractor, and an honest contractor with integrity. So if you're anybody Gareth, whereabouts in Manchester are you? You're on the south side, I think, aren't you? I think near Middleton Way. Is it Middleton Way? Is that south, or is it east of Manchester? I'm not quite sure. Let me know. If you're a consumer in the Manchester area and looking for a contractor, there you are, Gareth Williams. Gareth also says customers never understand the amount of prep for artificial grass. No, absolutely. And you know, I'm glad that you actually mentioned that, Gareth, because there's no doubt that when you put an artificial grass down, there is a lot of preparation, and there are some scrupulous contractors putting it on top of grass. Yeah, putting lime on grass, leaving it die, and just rolling the grass on top. There's some horrific installations going out there, as per usual, and it's not good at all. If you are looking for some artificial grass installation there, I made a recommendation this morning, Gareth Williams there in Manchester. Ian Powers says, of landscaping and groundwork up there in Preston, communication is one of the most important parts of the business, while allowing the client to adapt the job as you go if required. I love those words. I'm going to read it out again. Ian Power up there in Preston says communication is one of the most important parts of the business, while allowing the client to adapt the job as you go if required. I agree with you, Ian. There's no doubt that things grow organically on a regular basis when you're on a job. The realization when things start to unfold and they start realizing that the depth of the patio size, the depth of the border, the lawn, etc., the height of a pergola, how a fence is, etc., 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 how tall a plant is, the realization starts setting in. For some of them, it's an easy process to accept and to understand. And when they start looking at dimensions, that's what they've agreed to. But the fact is, when it happens, it's a bit of a shock. Jem says prices are creeping up and we still need to make a profit. Nobody wants to be a busy fool. No, do you know, it's a bit of a tough one, isn't it? Like, if you want to be competitive, okay, you've got to look at all the figures again, haven't you? You know, you've got to keep checking on a daily basis. How long do you hold your prices for? Love what Ian Power says there. Great point there by Jem. Let me just read something that I found on the internet a little while ago. And this is off Checkatrade. It says material costs are rising in the UK. The cost of materials has risen and continues to rise weekly and even daily. Okay. And it says on here, it says this is actually off Checkatrade. Okay, this is off Checkatrade. Bit of research I've been doing, and it says, why is the cost of materials so high? Prices for building materials across the UK have been soaring over the last year. Increased demand and supply issues as a result of Brexit. They're still blaming. So this is off Checkatrade. Brexit and lockdowns are just a few of the factors that have caused prices fluctuate massively. Isn't that gone? Why do they keep mentioning about Brexit again, or you know, the lockdown and the COVID thing? What does this mean for the home renovation projects? Okay, let me just read this out. Mike Fairman, CEO of Checker Trade, says, okay, this is the Chief Executive Officer of Checker Trade. Let me read this to you. He says, the current global material shortage has had a profound impact on the UK trade and construction industry. Soaring demand, the impact of Brexit, continued the pandemic recovery, and shock factors like forest fires, threats in North America, all reasons behind the shortage we have seen. Sort of get that a little bit about the forest thing. Our recent consumer research has revealed that the awareness of shortages is low, with only a small percentage of Brits, 22%, they've got an actual figure there, claiming to have heard of the shortages and understanding how they could affect them. However, many have already experienced its impact, with 21% of respondents experiencing delays in either their jobs being started or completed due to shortages of raw materials. He goes on to say, the property and home renovation market has been booming over the last year, and demand shows no signs of slowdown. In fact, we've had 49% more consumer searches so far this year than in the same period last year. With this in mind, we recommend that the homeowners factor potential future shortages into any upcoming projects they plan to undertake in their homes. In particular, they should make sure to speak to tradespeople when planning projects to discuss timeline, should be careful to use reliable sources such as Checker Trade, blowing up his own bum there, isn't he? Checker Trade, to find out vetted, reviewed tradespeople. We know it's a good point though, we know our trades members are keen to work with their customers to find ways to overcome these issues, including trying to find alternative materials that could be used. Well, look, that's a fascinating insight, because you can imagine Checker Trade are a big organisation, and they do a lot of research and development about these types of things. And he says there that it's so important for the consumer to talk and communicate. Again, communication is key with the tradesperson. If you're a consumer, I suppose what he's saying is that if you're considering having any work done, talk to your consumer, your contractor, and find out what's going on, even maybe before you have a price. That's why it probably is beneficial for a consumer. If you're thinking about having some work done, you want to talk to your contractor and find out a little bit more what's going on, if it's feasible for them to actually have the job done. That's why those words come into mind. What's your, do you have a budget? That's what you should be saying to your customers in some respects, is do you have a budget? It's so important. We talk about all these things that we talk about on a regular basis, don't we? It just keeps coming up over and over again, the same problems, the same issues, how to resolve it, how we get over those issues. There's nothing wrong with issues, but it's just how you get over it. It's so important that you communicate. Communication is absolutely key, and that's what he's saying. Let me go on to read what Mike Fairman also says. He says about material costs what material costs have been affected. Okay, so let me know what you think about this. One second, because it's hard work doing these live feeds. He says, what materials, just gonna get, yeah, a little visitor there. He says, what materials have been affected? There is a range of materials that have been increased price due to the shortages, such as timber. We know about timber. I know a little bit about timber, and timber is set to go up. It went up massively, then it came down, okay, for some time, because they weren't building in America, and a lot of the Americans were coming to Europe and getting the European stock and buying out massive amount. The Chinese were going to Europe and buying. I was talking to Mike from Alpro Timber in Suffolk a couple of years ago, and he said to me, he said, you know, John, he said, when we used to go to the sawmills in the Baltics years ago, he said, we always were looked after and really respected. And he said, now, he said, the Chinese arrive and they just buy absolute everything. It's absolutely incredible what they buy. They just buy it all. That's why there is a price increase. But we just think about something, and we're going about all these price increases. The question is, are we still being taken advantage of by the merchants? That's the question. Juicens, for me, every email they send me is always about price rises. They're informing me of this price rises, whereas I can get my sand in small dumpy bags for £3.20 through sharp sand, okay, in B&Q, £3.23. Is it £3.23, something like that? And in Juicens, it's nearly £5 to £6. I can't remember. But I remember working out it was nearly twice the price for sand. But anyway, Mike goes on to say, Mike Fairmond, he also says cement has gone up. We knew that. That was one thing. Insulation, plywood, roof tiles. Some materials will be easier or harder to get hold of depending on where you are in the UK. Yeah, absolutely. We've seen that during COVID, didn't we? When getting quotes for your project, it's always worth asking tradespeople if they're having any trouble getting hold of materials. So what he's saying, he's talking about the consumer, asking the question to the tradesman, is that are they getting any problems getting materials? What do material shortages mean for the consumer? The shortage of materials of having an impact on a wide range of jobs across the board. The main things to consider when booking in work that you could be facing. Longer waiting times, okay? That's what he's saying. Let me just read that again. What do material shortages mean for the consumer? The shortage of materials is having an impact on a wide range of jobs across the board. Longer waiting times, higher quotes changing, prices can change quickly when the job is quoted in advance. Listen to those words. Longer waiting times, higher quotes changing, prices can quickly when the job is quoted in advance. There's a real fluctuation in prices. This is what you have to need to make your potential client base aware of what's going on. He also says, check a trade member, Neil Rogers of Honeywood Joinery said, I was told my local merchants, if you're looking at a job and it's longer than a month away, add on 15 to 20%. Are they just plucking figures there? So let me just read that again. A check a trade member, Neil Rogers of it's here, it's in the public domain. I can repeat what it says. Neil Rogers of Honeywood Joinery said, I was told by my local merchants, if you're pricing a job and it's longer than a month away, add on another 15 to 20% on your price for more timber inflation. That's a builder's merchants getting involved with pricing directly. They told him, add on 15, 20% if it's more than a month away. One way to combat rising prices and shortages to get a quote for all the materials being started, any work of pay for them up front. You can then store them until your work begins. That's a good way, isn't it? Good tip. If you can afford to buy your materials. If you're a consumer, work with your contractor and say, look, I wouldn't mind going ahead with you. I'm happy to go ahead with you, but can we get the materials? And this is something I did many, many years ago to ensure that the materials were always available. But a couple of times, it happened with Travis Perkins. I remember years ago, a couple of times, they sold my product. I get it bought, I leave it in stock there, and then I go down to collect it, and it would go. It was sold. So you've got to be careful of that. It's always worth seeing there is any alternative prices that you can use. Look, I want to keep reading on with this. This is quite an interesting read. It's a Checker Trade blog on price rises, but I still feel that there's underlying facts that there will still be people that haven't had the price increases on themselves, but they'll put the prices up and they'll pass the buck on to you. They will. They'll pass the buck on to you and their prices. I bought some Brazilian slate, I think it was, and then they had a price rise, but they were selling me old stock at the new prices, which wasn't good at all. And it goes on constantly, and they have no fears, no worries, no qualms about charging that extra money for things. And it's really hard for us as a consumer. Wouldn't it be a good idea? Wouldn't it be a good idea if we can actually, as a consortium on here, just imagine now, I remember a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, I asked about the amounts, the budgets that was going on with you guys, and there was it was over £1 million worth of work in a few comments, not a few comments, quite a few comments, but over £1 million worth of work just going on in the next couple of weeks. And just imagine if we were, as a consortium, were able to buy and keep those prices down, isn't it? Wouldn't that be a good idea? Isn't that something that goes on with these municipals across the country in the farming community or whatever? They buy as a group, okay? They buy as a group. The builders merchants all work in these buying groups. Wouldn't it be good if maybe we did it as a buying group? If 10 of us actually got on here now and decided what we wanted and we actually bought it and bought it as a municipal, isn't it? That'd be good, wouldn't it? Be interested. Let me just read some of the comments that are coming up now at the moment. Just go back to the live stream there. So important to read your comments out because it's important. Let's have a little look. Customers understand the amount of prep for artificial grass. Ian Power says communication is one of the most important parts of the business, allowing the client to adapt the job as you go if required. Jem says prices are creeping up and we still need to make a profit. Nobody wants to be a busy fool. He also goes on to say, I agree with Ian, clients always want to adapt the projects as they do, don't they? They change things, don't they? They change things. And they think that sometimes when you change things, that the prices are still the same, but it's not. Landscapes by Gareth, North Manchester, mate. He's in North Manchester. If you are a consumer thinking about getting some work done, there we are. There's Gareth Williams up there. Nicholas McCartney in Banbury, Oxford says some amount of prep work goes for planting schemes, conditioning the soil, installing irrigation systems, etc. The horticultural industry is, in my opinion, really underestimated in the value. It's not just about by putting plants down and cutting plants. Things can get ruined. The horticultural industry is absolutely key. You've got to make sure you get things right with that because things can be absolutely ruined. You can kill things off. Gareth Williams also says, had to redo my driveway this week in Whitfield for M45 due to the last company laying over soil. Nice one. Whoever that was, if you are laying over soil, don't do it. It's not a good thing to do. Kurum Chowdhury says, good morning, Kurum. Good to see you, my friend. Haven't seen you for a while, but good to see you on here this morning. Jem says, do check a trade actually check your work? I don't think they do. You know, and that is a fair comment. We always get back to this. You know, they are recommending people, but do they really check the industry that they're regulating? Because they're recommending somebody. Are they regulating it? That's what we're talking about, isn't it? That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Jem. If you've got anything else to say about that, I'd like to hear of you. Kurum Chowdhury says, our experienced and vetting team will carry out background checks on your business before your profile goes live. This includes professional qualification, insurance, ID, and a credit check. I love having Kurum on it. Kurum, can I come and work for you?
You're not on Checker Trade. They all think we're on Checker Trade. Don't mention it.
I'm not on Checker Trade.
No,
No. So just remember, I am not on Checker Trade. I am not endorsing Checker Trade. I'm just reading out an article on Checker Trade and what they was talking about price. I am not a member of Checker Trade, so let's get that right. Let's just bear with that now, and I'll just wait. So that's it. No, we're not on Checker Trade. Kurum says, I'm going to read what Kurum says there. Our experienced vetting team will carry out background checks on your business before your profile goes live. This will include professional qualifications, insurance, ID, and a credit check. Do you know, Kurum, I'd love to speak to you sometime because there's something that I need some advice on myself. We're doing some stuff, you being with IT. That's what it says on their website. Right, I got to catch up with this. Go to Wix Johnny Trade. Accounts get you a major bag of sand for £2.97. There we are. I love having Kurum on. He's brilliant. Pete says, I remember Pete from Restore the Saw, Checker Trade is a con. My opinion, just like the Witch organisation, we always found unscrupulous companies are always on Checker Trade. There you are. This is the feedback we're having this morning. Maybe we should get Checker Trade on this morning. It's mad out. I got things written out and I wanted to talk about, but we're going in this direction. Maybe we should get Checker Trade on here to get them to. I'm not getting paid to say their name again. I said it so many times. It's just an article I read. Please forgive me. He says, Checker Trade is a con, in my opinion, just like the Witch organisation. We always found unscrupulous companies are always on Checker Trade. Kurum says, a friend of mine did that during COVID. Kurum also goes on to say he was a plasterer and bought a pallet of plaster and stored them in his mum's garage and sold them at pre-COVID prices to his other plaster friends that didn't have the facility. Brilliant. Love it. That's the way to do it. Giles Patton. Good morning, mate. How's it going? Good morning. He says, Johnny, the sun is out by the looks of it. Pete also says the lads on Checker Trade used only leave feedback cards with customers who were happy, therefore biased feedback. There we are. It's not about me, it's about you. This is the information that you'll come at. Pete, you're on it this morning, mate. Just read what he says. Lads on Checker Trades use only leave feedback, live feedback cards with customers who are happy. Yeah, absolutely. I totally get with it. Therefore, biased feedback. Alison says, we are not on Checker Trade. I've said that. Anyway, Gareth Williams says, check a trade, email me once a week asking me to join. They are desperate for members on there. Steve M, charge what you want on Checker Trade. Charge what you want on Checker Trade. Yeah, I don't know what that means, Steve. Sorry, mate. Morning, Alison. Hope you're well, says Gareth. Very good morning to you. It's interesting, some feedback we were having there about the Checker Trade. 22 live viewers. We've got 12 likes. Please hit the like button. Come on, I forgot to say this morning. Hit the like button. Only 12 likes this morning. Maybe we've got a couple of stalkers on here this morning who aren't impressed with what I actually do every Saturday morning. Consumer and trade as well. Remember, it's always good to help from both sides. If you've noticed this morning, if you just joined me this morning, it's not because I haven't shaved, it's because I'm in between beards. Yeah, in between beards. Steve says, pay the bill, get the leads, and you tell them the price. Yeah, I'm not into it. It was interesting to hear what they had to say about rising costs in the workplace. There you are, 15 likes. Please come on, hit the like button and bring the comments on. And the other thing I was going to say is, and I always ask this every week, if you can just take 2 minutes at some point over the weekend to go back onto this video and just do a couple of comments. It's great for the analytics. Oh, just to let you know, good news. I want to share my good news with you guys out there, and it's growing. Well, there we are. We've hit nearly 800,000 views this month on our YouTube channel. I don't know if that's for YouTube Shorts or what. I haven't got a clue. But we've hit nearly 800,000 views. It'd be nice to hit 1 million views, wouldn't it? And, of course, the subscribers is going up. We are currently at nearly 26,000 subscribers. So please share the channel. And look, 17 likes. Thanks very much this morning. Hey, look, the other thing which I keep forgetting this morning, because this is a very informal podcast that we just like to just talk about as if we were, I'd say, down the pub, or as if we were on site, or if we were just having a little meetup. It's great meeting up here every Saturday morning with you guys, because I learn so much from you all. And what I was going to say, I forgot. I forgot what I was going to say. There's so many things going on my head at the moment. I've got it all planned, things I want to talk about, but people talk about all sorts of things because there's a delay on that, and we start digressing, going off on tangents. Jem says, years ago I paid to be in the Guild of Master Craftsmen. Yearly subscription. Don't know how that made me a master of my craft. No, Jem, I've got an opinion of that, and lead generation that's what it's all about. It's a system that was adopted by the Americans, what they were doing out there. Have you ever managed to lay them porcelain planks yet, Johnny? How's the weather? Yeah, I'm getting on with it. It's happening. But what I don't do, Gar, is we're getting there. It's happening. We're laying the porcelain planks. It's looking good. I'll share some pictures. Don't forget mine. I'm going to get my number up here on the air this morning, because this live feed is not just about me. It's 07795 595 994 I would like to see what you're doing this morning or what you've been doing this week. Send me some pictures on WhatsApp if you're on WhatsApp. I'm on business WhatsApp. There's my number. Send me some pictures, and I'm sure somebody will. Gareth says, I always try and comment on your shorts, mate, even if it's a thumbs up, just to help. Gareth, listen, mate, you're an absolute star. I really appreciate everything you've done to support this channel, and you'd be surprised how you support me daily, and it really makes me feel good when I hear your voice or a message from you on WhatsApp. So it's great to. I might not get back straight away, but it's always good to hear from you, and it's good to know that other people are doing what you're doing across the country. That's the fundamental thing about this channel, is that when we come together on a Saturday morning, we can share, we can we can talk, we can discuss, and we can propose anything, okay? And it's good, isn't it? Because you see that you're not only the only one that's in that boat, and when you that realization, when there's other people doing the same things as you on a daily basis, doing that daily grind, it's good. It's absolutely good. I love it. Stan is joining us just a little late. Stan, that's no problem at all. Good morning to you. This is Saturday morning live with Johnny Boy. And we've been going for some time and we've talked all about all sorts of things. I haven't finished yet. We're not finished. We're way off at the moment. Stan says, everyone click the there we are. He's brilliant. There we are. Click the thumbs button and the bell button. Yeah, absolutely. Steve Burrows, if you have a good reputation and a good work ethic, you don't need the likes of Checker Trade, as a word of mouth is number one. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And look, if you are just starting out in this business, I know it's hard. I know that you want to get the leads. I know you want to get the right leads. But believe you me, there are copious amounts of work out there. You don't necessarily need to be on there. And no sooner than I actually said it about getting some pictures of what you're doing this morning. We've got one coming in. Thanks for that, bud. I'll have a little look later. It's funny, on a Saturday morning after this, I'm a little bit burnt because don't tell Alison, but I've been doing a bit of domestic cleaning when she was out walking the dogs this morning. I was out there doing a bit in the house as well. Gone through the house, I've hoovered, I washed the floor, I've done everything. I'm a great help to Alison. Yeah, I am. Got to be quiet, she might hear me. Martin Smith says, morning Johnny, chat for the first time. I've been watching your videos this week and learning so much. Martin Smith, thank you very much for joining the live feed. As you can see, we've got members across the country and sometimes across the world. And there's some great guys on here. Gareth Williams, Kuram Chowdhury, Sick of Life, Steve, Pete, Restore the Sword. They're all on here. Steve Burrows, Martin, just thank you for joining this morning. Really appreciate it. Martin, this is what we do just for you, just so you know. I give my number out, 07795 595 994. There's my number. It'd be good to see. This is what we always do. We always give people an option to send in a picture of what you've been doing across the country. We've got another one coming in there now. Just WhatsApp me a picture about what you're doing, what you've got planned in your garden, your driveway, whatever you're doing. It don't really matter. This is a real good community. It's a great community, and Steve Burrows is going to be having a beer with me very, very soon. Steve, should we go and have a pint sometime? Maybe up in the Ampost, have a pint up there, just you and me, bud. It'd be good to meet up. How was the trip to Ruby? Gareth. Gareth, you know, you're my coordinator this morning. I really appreciate it. Yeah, the trip to Ruby it was really good. And I tell you something now, we use this, you see this word on a regular basis, inspiring, aspirational, just mindset provoking, and sort of all these inspirational things that are going on. But I have to say, Ruby, what a fantastic company. They don't just, I've said it so many times, of course they want your money, or all these companies want your money, but Ruby gives so much back. I couldn't believe the amounts they've actually give to charity on a regular basis. I can't say what they actually give exactly, but they give so much to charity. They give back so much back to the community, the landscaping community, the tiling community, and they do so much to sort of work with the end user, because it's definitely not the suppliers that actually do it. So yeah, great company, a great ethos, great approach to everything, working well, trying to understand the consumer, trying to understand what you guys want, always improving tools. They've got so many tools that have coming out and good tools, and they recognise that they need to improve on some areas, and their service is absolutely second to none. It's wonderful. They've got reps in different regions. I think there's 7 different areas, and they've got 7 reps for those areas. That not just reps to sell, they're technical people that talk about product. They're not selling product. Stan says, watch out, Checker Trade, don't send you a promo messages for your number. Nah, they better not add it. I'll have a word with them. Martin Smith, thank you very much. Saturday Morning Live with Johnny Boy. Here we are, as usual, every Saturday. I tried to go live last Saturday, Gareth, from Ruby, but I just couldn't do it because we just headed back a little bit early. We had a great trip, but it was good to see you. Yes, John, I'm in for a beer. Let's do it, Steve. Steve, you've got my number. Well, let's do it. Pete says, I rented a DX and it was fantastic. There we are. What a glowing endorsement. Pete, really, really appreciate you actually. What was you doing, Pete? Was you cutting porcelain? That's what I want to know. Steve M says, do you think prices should be capped on jobs then? Do I think prices should be capped on jobs? Do you mean... I got a low battery coming up. I'll get something in there. Not quite sure what... I'm going to have to take the microphone out of there now at the moment. And I don't know if you can hear me still, but I'm going to have to change this over because I've got a flat battery. If you can just hear me, that'd be great. Ian Power says, Groundwork, got a few Ruby products and can't fault them at all. There you go. Pete says, a lot of diagonal cuts, 600 by 600, 20mm porcelain. Pete, I'd love to see that. Love to see what you're doing. If you can drop me a message this morning, I'd like to have a look what you're doing. Ian Power, I'd like to have a look what you've been doing lately. Good to see. Saw sound much better. Oh, it sounds better. There we go. And we've got the Rode microphones on this one. I don't know what was going on there, if that sounds better. Not quite sure what was happening there, but there you go. That's done. Nicholas Guy says, any plans for members meetup at Styled? Do you know, Nick, it's a bit of a funny one. When people ask me about this, and I propose lots of meetups, and I just don't think that people want to meet me or meet other people. It's fallen foul a little bit lately. I think people are just so busy, and we had a meetup at Ballot Adhesives, and do you know, people always think Ballot Adhesives is about tiling adhesives, but it was a little bit more than that. Once again, we had the Ballot meeting. Kieran there and Dave Rowley and Lewis there gave a massive insight to British standards and best practice, and there's no doubt that we're going to be laying a lot more porcelain in the near future. The other thing, of course, when we talk about porcelain, we just moved on to that as well. It's funny, I seem as if we have these same topics of conversations over and over again, but it's relevant, and we just got to remind ourselves of it, is that some of the porcelain that's coming into the country isn't necessarily the best porcelain, okay? And I've got an opinion on that sort of thing, so you've got to make sure you know what you're getting. So let's just hope from these videos now this morning, these live feeds, that the information that we're giving out here, hopefully it will just push somebody in the right direction to ensure that they actually make the right decisions about choosing their contractor, a bit of product knowledge, where to get product from. This channel is without doubt a source of information. So have a look at the comments and just go back, scroll through and have a look, and you'll see that this video this morning on here, this live feed, it's a mine of information with everybody contributing to this live feed. Just helps out a lot of people without you actually realizing of how many people actually help, because I know through the response that I get on a regular basis, people phone me up. I mean, I've taken about 40 calls, I think, this week through this channel, through you guys. People want to know, and when they phone up, they refer to some of you guys and mention some of you about, oh, so-and-so said this or so-and-so said that, and what's your opinion about that? I like what they said. So you are contributing. You don't realise how much you're actually contributing. Steve Burrows says, Steve, you can't cap meter square. Oh, right, okay. Yeah, sorry, you can't meet every contractor has a different overhead. So yeah, go back to Steve. Amount square meter on patios. Steve, no, I'm sorry that I was just absolutely miles away. When you're doing these live feeds, you get distracted. Square meter prices, no. You can get your price per square meter for the materials, and then you've got to check about where your materials are coming from, because they're not all the same. Though it'll say exactly the same from one company to another company, give it this similar description, but you've got to check out the authenticity of that product. And like Steve Burrows said, thank you very much. Just somebody send me some pictures there. Yeah, you know, price per square meter, you just can't do it. It's not the done thing. Simply because we all got different overheads, without a doubt. Different staff members, different number of vehicles, different insurance, different lifestyles, you know. And what I would say, and this is not being facetious or sarcastic in any way, shape or form or whatsoever, if you want to drive a Porsche, you need to put your price per square meter up. It's as simple as that. Overheads. And the question I always ask people when they phone for some advice about pricing is that, how much do you want to live on, okay? How much do you need to live on before you start working your prices out? It might sound a stupid thing to some people, but when you actually think about it, it's not really. It's the most sensiblest way. You need to look at all your overheads, you know, every pound, shekel, shilling and pence that you're actually spending, that you've got coming in and going out, your ingoings, your outgoings. You need to work it out. You need to think like an accountant. You need to think like a mathematician. You need to get your numbers right before you start working out prices per square meter. And I don't want the rest of the guys and girls this morning watching this live stream this morning, what your opinions is on that. But I think me personally, that's how it is. Your always works out all right. Yeah, absolutely, Steve. Indian sandstone, £100 square meter, me, and I'll be honest. No, that's fine, Steve. Listen, mate, I'd say it's that now. I value that honesty. Look at, for all of you that's watching, this young man here is actually saying he's charging £100 square meter, and if it's working for you, okay, if you're earning a good profit, if you're getting through it, you know. But what I would say, Steve, is probably go away now today, this afternoon, or over the weekend, or in the week, whenever you've got time, sit down with a book, get the book, write down all your ingoings and outgoings, okay? You need to write it all down. I've seen it so many times before when contractors rely on their wife's wages. You as a contractor should be able to support your home and your lifestyle in the business you're in. You know, obviously if you've got a big expensive yacht, no, because you need to charge quite a bit, and this industry isn't going to pay that, but for some it may do. But you need to write down everything, all your expenses in every shape, in every way. Got to make hay while the sun shines, says Gareth. No problem, Gareth. See you later. Thanks for joining this morning. Pete says square meter can only be a rough guide for yourself, in my opinion. No, I totally agree with you, and lots of people will agree with you, Pete, on that one. Steve Burrows says, we've read what Steve says. He says about the squares, a contractor has different overheads. Every dig access is different, so it would be difficult to price by square meter. Do you know, Gav, before you go, I gotta say, this week we were able to get a digger onto a project and get the machine in, and it's made life so much simple. Do you know, in fact, it's sunny today. I wouldn't mind going back up and doing a little bit more while the weather's dry and taking full advantage of it. Fair enough, appreciate it, no problem at all. That's what this channel is about, Steve. It's about helping and supporting and not condemning and chastising anybody and thinking that we know better. But I think the common consensus tells us that probably is the best way to go. You know, everybody's prices is different. Sit down sometime and just have a look at all the different variables. If you have got a price strategy per square meter on your every project will be different, so you need to adapt that pretty fast as you go along. And I'm sure people do and think, well, that's going to take me a little bit longer, extra couple of days, I need to add this on. I don't think that once you've worked out your price per square meter, that may be all right, but it's not a price per square meter that we can all work on. We talk about this so many times. Don't forget, this live channel isn't sponsored by anybody this morning. And let me remind you, it's not sponsored by Checker Trade. I was really reading an article of what they were saying. Top man John, you have a blessed day, week, and enjoy your weekend. I will, bud. Catch you later. Good to see you. Be safe, whatever you're doing. Listen, thank you very much for joining this morning, Saturday morning live. It's not because I haven't got a lot to talk about. I got plenty to talk about. and I want to keep you with me for a little bit longer if I can, because some of the things I was talking about was important. And the first thing I started talking about this morning was about, did you see the response about Dominic Raab, about him in the workplace? And that was an interesting thing for me, because over the years, there's no doubt that I've changed in every way. You know, I didn't have a lot of patience years ago, and I was probably, if I was working for a company, I would have been up on a some sort of discipline on my behaviour, because I couldn't tolerate lots of things. That's probably one of the reasons that I actually work for myself, okay? Because I wasn't able to deal with people, because I never had patience in many ways. And I would have been disciplined by now if I'd been working for a company. But times have changed, things have changed for me. But let's face it. Let's just face it. It just seems, it all seems to be sort of like, we're worried about what we say all the time, isn't it? All the time. And I know we have to think about what we're saying and how we're going about things. And I think you can open up to people and be honest with people and give an honest opinion. But then you've got to be careful, because they can get offended by it. Everybody seems to get offended. We talk about this so much. And let's talk about this now. Maybe this thing will be like a trend, a fashion trend, where eventually we come around and we're not so offended by what people say. Because if any of you have actually played any sport, as the saying go, when the game is on, game's on. You haven't got time to say, oh, could you pass me the ball, please? Could you? You say something to the effect, give me the ball. Over here. That's what you'd say. You'd keep it short. And when the game is on, and certainly in our industry, when the game is on, you need to act quickly, okay? And it's not always, you can't always say please all the time, can you? Because you can't. You cannot say please all the time. When the game's on, and as should I say it? I'm going to say it, because I'm not going to try and offend anybody, and I don't want to offend anyone, but when the shit hits the fan, you've got to go for it, haven't you? You've got to go for it. And that was the thing about in the military many years ago. I learned at a young age with my parents, because they were land workers. They worked on the land, and they didn't hold back. We had to work hard, okay? And when I look back to when I joined the military all those years ago, it wasn't such much of a shock, but they didn't mess around, and I respected them for it. You know, when the game is on, you have to perform. It's as simple as that. So, in a way, I've even seen people of the woke society actually sticking up for Dominic Raab as well. And but we still got to be careful what we say. But can we just toughen up a little bit and not be so, weak? I suppose, isn't it? We're becoming weak and sloppy about everything we do, isn't it? It's just not good at all. Crew says it's nice to be important, but it's nice to be nice. I agree. Curran, I'm glad you're on here, my friend. And Alison's grandfather always used to say, if you can't say anything nice, just don't say it at all. It's as simple as that. But I think when you're working, it's not about not being nice. When we need something, we need something. We need to do something. Game is on, isn't it? And certainly in our trade, we're affected by the weather, deliveries, and we got to drop all the niceties when the game's on, I think. That's my opinion anyway. You need to be decent and respectful. Ian Power says, unfortunately, everyone gets offended these days, especially labourers. I knew he was going to say that. So if there are any labourers watching this morning, don't be offended by what Ian Power said. See, I really shouldn't even have to say that. It's a joke, isn't it? For goodness sake. Are we allowed to shout at our staff at work? Well, if they can't hear you, you can shout all you like, Pete. That's how I think. Can you shout at your staff? Come on, get on with it. Do that. Yeah, you can. I think you can. It's not horrific, is it? My goodness, what has the world come to? Steve M says, it is roughly so I can say to my customer straight away, easy to easy out, £100 square metre patio. Thus, thus you know that the ballpark is getting master waiver. Steve, I try a little different approach to that. If you want to talk to me sometime about that, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. I wouldn't just tell them about that because they need to know. They need to know a few more things. They need to know, but you need to educate your customer a little bit on that. Jem says, I remember how we were treated in the army in the 1980s. Woke would not enjoy it. No, they wouldn't. 1980s, 83 for me. Restore the Saw, Alison says. Pete, apparently not. You can't shout. Oh my God. Of course you can shout. You can shout at them. Kurt says, Arab proverb, the mouth should have 3 gatekeepers. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it necessary? Do you know, Curran, I'd love to have a day with you, my friend. Yeah, I love your approach. Arab proverb says the mouth should have 3 gatekeepers. Is it true? Is it kind? And is it necessary? Love it. Absolutely love it. Great thought process. Pete says, big shout out to all the people just out of hearing range. Big shouted out all the people just out of hearing range. Love that, Kurum. Yeah, Jem, you do as well. It's really good. Loved it. Fantastic. Yeah, look, Kurum, look at the response you get. Kurum, I'd like to talk to you sometime. I think I'd learn a lot off you. If you could possibly give me some time to have a chat to you, I'd love to have a chat to you, my friend, and talk about a couple of things on IT side of things that we're building. Artificial intelligence. Alison mentioned this week. My mate Matt in Kentucky was talking about doing something with his website with the AI stuff, and I'd love to, Kurum. I just need your number, my friend. I can't remember your number. I think I've got you on WhatsApp. Be good to talk. Matt was talking about getting some information onto his website, and I was telling Alison about the artificial intelligence to build his website, to get things going. And Alison was saying, I don't know what you thought of this, Kurum. Alison thought that she's read somewhere that Google will mark you down if you've had something built with the artificial intelligence. I don't know how true that is. I'll be interested to find out, because we are using technology, aren't we? Even more so to help our job a little bit more easier, isn't it? A little bit more easier. Do you know, I've actually enjoyed this morning. I thought this morning, when I was doing some domestic chores around the house, I was running a little bit late, and I thought, am I ready as usual? But I'm always ready for you guys, because you are what makes this channel as good as it is. Honest, it really is great having you on it, because it'd be nothing without you. We have great conversation, lots of people learn from it, and you got to remember, it's always roughly about the same number, but a lot of people watch this video after, and people learn from it, so they're learning from you. Your contribution is without doubt appreciated. I really do appreciate everything you've everyone who's participated this morning, and who will be watching this later on. So don't forget to hit the like, hit the share, hit the notification, hit what you like, but one thing you shouldn't do, hit your labourer. Have a great weekend, be safe, and send me some pictures. 07795 595 994. I'm going to get that on there now. Love to see what you're doing. It's 07795 595 994. All I would say is, there's nothing, what can I say? Don't hit no one, don't shout at no one, but just, you can be firm, can't we? Can we be firm? Of course we can. Have a great weekend, have a great week, be safe, send some pictures through. Thanks for joining. Take care. Bye-bye.